Hello, it's Ashton Lewis.
And I'm Daphne Lynn.
And you are listening to the
NDE WORLD Podcast.
Welcome to the NDE WORLD Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis. In the studio with me today, I have my lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. And hello, how are you today, Miss Daphne?
I am doing absolutely wonderful. I am looking forward to today's episode and what we've been talking about in previous episodes. We're going to finally get into what we've been talking about, so I'm excited about that.
I am too, guys. I am too. Now, we're going to start a series, and we're putting a twist on our near-death experience program that we do, because this all ties in with it, okay? So we're not losing concept or direction of what we're doing. We're taking it up a notch or two, okay? So just hold tight, and we're going to get into it, But before we do, let me welcome everyone, and for those who are returning, welcome back. And don't forget to go to the actual website. That is NDE.world for more information on who we are and what we do, and all kind of cool podcasts and good stuff like that. So, again, that website is
NDE.world.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we are getting ready to really take you on an adventure for anyone who is on a quest for their higher good, their greater good, their higher self, the journey of the oneness, okay, that we're going to be really starting to cover. And the concept, or this what we're actually talking about, is Universal Divine Oneness. Okay, let me repeat that. Universal Divine Oneness. And now the acronym is UDO, okay? And it's pronounced like the universal itself. It's UDO, okay? So that's the term we're going to be using, UDO. So UDO is really the concept of Universal Divine Oneness. Now, when we talk about Universal Divine Oneness, it's really going to start, it's going to resonate with a lot of people, but then again, it's going to really start opening up eyes for other people, and then some people, they may kind of get it, they may not be ready for it yet, but it's really a deep concept. So, any comments before we get started?
Yes, most definitely. I mean, this is really stems from our awakening from learning about these NDEs, the experiences they've had, because if you've been listening along, I'm sure you have grown, you have learned just as we have. So we're doing this to help you to put into action your new belief systems, what has changed, what hasn't changed, how you can take those steps to become more aware of your oneness with everything. So that's why we're doing this series on the UDO, because it is so profound. I mean, this is part of every person's life, whether they realize it or not. So
absolutely,
we're going to be doing this to help others.
Very well said. And it's not about religion, guys. However, all major religions do have what we call the common thread of the divine, or the universal laws, okay? As you hear these laws and start to learn them, you'll start seeing the connections. For example, the universal law of cause and effect is also the same principle that Jesus talked about in the Bible of reaping what you sow. Okay, the law of reaping and sowing is the universal law of cause and effect. So that's just a little tip there. But anyway, we're going to get into it deep, and there's over 200 laws that we're going to be looking into, and this is going to be a series of quite a few podcasts. Yeah. So we're going to incorporate that in there, mainly to really start bringing awareness, guys. We have to up the awareness. That's what this is all about.
Raise consciousness.
Absolutely. So it's all about what we call enlightenment. Okay. Now, before we begin, we have to really just get on the same page of enlightenment. And what is enlightenment? A lot of people have heard of this. So what does this word actually mean? Daphne, would you like to take a shot at it?
Yeah.
And we'll get some.
We begin by awakening, so you have to become awakened and to become enlightened. So, enlightened is someone who has quote unquote, had a final death experience of the selfish, separate self, thus bursting the illusion of separation from everything in God. But it is deliberately cultivated through spiritual training, through ego busting. So it is fully exercised rather than near, and doesn't require nearly dying physically.
Yeah. Well, to go with that point, like it's brought out here, it is similar to a near-death experience, guys. That's what enlightenment is, and what we're referring to. And we have to really get a grasp of this before we really get into it deep. Now, the near-death experience, what they do is they, somewhere within that process, most times 99.999 out of 10, it destroys the ego, okay? Or it puts the ego back in place. You see what I'm saying? Because they come back with the love that we all are supposed to have. Now, we talk to many NDEers. We've got friends who are NDEers in their interviews and their stories and their reviews and all this kind of stuff. That's what we do. Now, the point is, every single one of them, you can literally feel the love
exactly
through the phone in their conversations.
Yes, Daphne? Yes. I think about one of our recent episodes we done with Mr. J. Oh my goodness. He was saying how he comes across people he really doesn't even know, and he tells them he loves them. And they say, well, how can you love me? You don't know me. And he's like, I do know you because you're part of me. We're all one. So, it is so beautiful. Many of these experiencers are coming back sharing the same knowledge, that same love, and trying to raise the awareness. And that's why we do this, to help raise that consciousness, to help people become aware of who and what they really are.
Absolutely, guys. And
we've been hoodwinked.
Yeah, absolutely. Because and just to throw it out there, let's keep everything straight, guys. Religion's not going to give this to you. Now keep that in mind. You have a control factor between you and yourself. You've got to understand you do not need any kind of external source. Let's put that out in the front, because part of Udo is you understanding that you are part of the Universal Divine Oneness. You are one with the all.
Yeah.
This is what the real masters taught, okay?
Yeah.
So like Daphne had mentioned, number one, a person who is enlightened, okay, is not somebody who goes to church or somebody that believes in this or believes in Jesus or believes in God. It's got nothing to do with belief systems, okay? It is a person that has had a death blow or a death experience to the ego, okay?
Yes.
The ego is the separation illusion, okay? Anything that separates you from the oneness that you are, okay? Anything that fits in that illusion could be referred to as ego. It makes you think that you are separate from everyone else, okay? Which creates the selfishness, which creates in turn the issues we have in the world. We're going to cover that soon. So
Right. And I think about the different like the monks and the different masters that are out there today that have really killed that ego and are they realize that they are one with everything, and including that divine source, but they've permanently returned to that state of oneness with the universe and with that great spirit, that what we call God. So there's many people out here alive today that know this and are aware of this. The people that come to my mind immediately is Grandmaster Wolf. He is all over YouTube. Yeah. He is in touch with himself and the universe, and that realizing he is one with the Creator, with that divine energy source, what we call God.
That's right.
So, and there's many people out there. He is just one example of people that are aware and sharing the knowledge, trying to raise the consciousness of the masses.
Absolutely. Very well said. But that's the point, guys. That's what enlightenment is when you kill the ego, when you kill who you think you are. The term is known as crucifixion, okay? Mm-hmm. When you destroy the self, the ego, okay, that you are separate, that you are different than everybody else, or that, you have the way, you have the belief system, and everybody has to follow you. No, okay, you're not where you need to be. You're not enlightened, okay? So enlightenment means you have to destroy the ego and get back to the oneness with the divine within you and everything around you, okay?
Right. And what does that mean? That means living in a state of unselfish love at all. Like I said, always in a state of unselfish love.
That's part of it. In fact, we're going to get into the actual breaking that down, what that means, as well.
And this is what we see from so many of our near-death experiencers, is that they've been through the other side. They come back, they realize the oneness of all energy and everything, that, we are deathless, that we are always in a state of life.
Yeah.
So they come back and they realize this, and they love on a different level. They can love in an unconditional way. They don't have to put conditions on the way that they experience love and share that love with others.
That's right.
And there's so much beauty in that when you can become, and you don't have to have a near-death experience to live in a state of unconditional love.
That's right, and that's what it says right here. You can have a near-death experience, which is within context of this program, and like it says right here, or, which is Yudo, this is what this whole system's about, what we're getting ready to share with you, is you can deliberately work towards enlightenment, okay? You can discipline yourself to the point where you can destroy your ego, and destroying is just a way we refer to it, but you'll always have your ego, but it means to just get it in check.
That's what I was going to say,
You're more in balance,
more in
harmony with the oneness and that you are. So keep that in mind. And number two, it says here that a person that is enlightened, okay, has realized and permanently returned to a state of absolute oneness with the universal spirit, okay? And that's what we many call God or source or things like that. So keep that in mind. First of all, you've got to die to the self, the ego. You got to destroy that, okay? Get it in check. You got to get back in harmony with that absolute state of oneness with the all, or the universal divine. Mm-hmm. See? Spirit, how that all works. And that's what we call Yudo. Okay, number 3, Daphne, would you cover number 3?
Yeah, it's always living in harmony with the universe, which is nature. Get outside in nature, that being connected with everything and all, and also but doing the will of the Creator, as being a servant, trying to raise the consciousness to love everything and everyone unconditionally.
That's right.
Love all, harm none.
Yep. And like you said, it brought out here that it means living in harmony with the universe. Now, how does one live in harmony with the universe? Well, we have to understand that what we call God or the universe or the source, it depends on where you're coming from, who you are. It is what it is, and you can't deny it. Whether you don't agree or not, you can't deny it. It resonates in all of us. And that, dear friends, is the purpose of this program that we're going to be doing with you guys, is to show you how to live in harmony with the universe, guys. This is the stuff that Jesus taught. This is the stuff that Buddha taught. This is the stuff that is ancient, because this information we're getting this from is taken from ancient material that is not even released to the public, okay? You have to be know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody to really to come across these hidden texts and things like that. So we're fortunate enough to be able to do that and have that background and to be able to get into the stuff like that. But yeah, the information in this was actually from a monk that had spent all of their life, the temples, and was trained in those ways. But while he was over there, was introduced to ancient scrolls that precede humanity's existence as we know it. And so he was able to, be able to start sharing that kind of stuff. The more, and it starts off with the story that, he had to find himself and he had to become enlightened himself. He thought he was, but nobody is enlightened. You think you are, but that's the ego that makes you think you are. So he goes into it and said, no, this is what real enlightenment is. So he spent all of his life in those temples learning these ancient ways from these, these ancient scrolls that predate humanity as we know it. It predates religions, predates all of that stuff. It's a way of life. It was called the way in a lot of different systems. Jesus in the Bible, they were called the way.
Spoke of the way, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They lived by the way. So the way is a way of life, and a lot of Buddhism, it's very popular in Buddhism, and it's really about getting back to that oneness with the all, or with nature, or with what we call God. It's really, and it is a discipline. It is a walk. It's a sacrifice. You have to have a mindset to be an enlightened soul. So if you guys are just okay having your ears tickled, sitting in a church pew, following somebody up there just telling you whatever, you want to hear, then afterwards go do what you want, that's cool. That's fine. If it works for you, it does. However, there are those out there who are wanting to go to the next level. Stick with us, okay? Those who are looking for enlightenment, stick with us. Those who are being drawn to the mystic side of life. In other words, you want to get to the highest, greatest good that you can, without having to go through a structured medium such as a religion or a church or a book or any of this. Because once you're enlightened, guess what? Books are done away with. You no longer have a need for books. Okay, and the last one here to keep in mind is, here's how you know when someone is enlightened, or when you reach the state of enlightenment, is that you always, these people always, not every now and then, always lives in a state of unselfish love. Okay? That's what I love about the NDEers, okay?
Exactly.
You can just tell a conditional love against an unconditional or unselfish love.
Right.
You feel it.
And like we said, so many of our experiencers, and we've covered it ourselves on different episodes, say that, most people in general live in their relationships and everything with conditional love. I love you, but if you do this, there's going to be a consequence. Or I love you, but if you do this, I'm not going to be with you. Right. So we have conditions on most of our love. And that's why most of these experiences, when they come back from being in that state of existence with the one, then they have that unconditional love to share and want to share that love with everyone.
Yes, I like the way you said that. I like that. Let's recap and move on along. So to recap, 1, 2, 3, and 4, someone who is enlightened is someone who has had a death experience, either near-death experience, or has physically, purposely, mentally, physically
taking steps for an ego death.
Yeah, you've worked towards, conquering that and getting hold of that ego yourself. Okay. Number 2, that you have realized and you have permanently returned to a state of absolute oneness. Okay, with the all, what we call spirit or God. Number 3, you are always living in harmony with the universe, okay? The universe has laws. That's the purpose of this program. We're going to turn you on to all the laws, and not only turn you on to the laws, but how to live in harmony with the laws through different practices and things like that. So I'm looking forward to that, actually. You have to continue, doing the will of the Most High, which is, spreading the love and teaching the truth. Number 4,
love all, harm none.
Yes, love all and harm none. Thank you. And number 4, to always live in that state of unselfish love. Now, like it's brought out here, it says, now all of these are all the same thing. Okay, they're all the same thing when it talks about enlightenment or talk about Yudo, or we're talking about that Universal Divine Oneness, that when you become one back in harmony with that, you already are. You just got to remember that. You just got to know that.
Right.
That's the purpose of this, But it says if you haven't achieved this yet, okay, even if you think you know it all, okay, just set your ego to the side, all right, and just kind of open up your mind, open up your hearts, open up your ears, and just really listen to what this information is, instead of just taking it in and like, okay, yeah, whatever. Just really listen to it, and it will change your life. And that's the purpose of this here. So why don't we do this to really set the stage? We've got to understand exactly what Yudo is. Okay, this universal divine oneness. Okay, what are a lot of the names that people call this oneness, Daphne? God comes to mind. That's the first thing is what they call, source, the all.
Yeah, whatever you want to name it. I mean,
there's
the
so
universe,
many different things that we call that,
the energy of it. I mean, I mean, what you're comfortable with. I mean, are you comfortable calling it God? Do you give it a name? I mean, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
That is your belief system for you, and it works for you.
That's right. And that is beautifully said and described, because you just set it up perfectly for this next part. Okay, beautifully said. Now, there is a concept out there, guys, that we're really getting ready to blow your mind. And I'm going to tell you right now, Daphne, if you want to say the little saying about putting your boots on, because go ahead and take care of that for me before I say anything, please.
Y'all put your boots on. It's gonna get deep.
Well, remember, I'll say it, but we're supposed to be taking our boots off and putting into practice now.
That's right.
Right.
So you say how you want to say it.
But I'll go ahead and say it. Okay, so put your boots on, y'all. Put on your thinking cap. Open up your mind and open up your heart. Let's really get into this and really start making those changes in our lives to help raise that consciousness.
Very
To
well
help
said.
everyone live in a state of pure, unconditional love. That's what's going to change our world.
Yeah. One tree at a time. Every forest can only be changed by one tree at a time. Now, here we go, guys. Disclaimer has been put out. Daphne had warned about putting the boots on, okay? Because we're going to be challenging a lot of your belief systems, okay? Understanding the concept of the one, the one that people call God. We'll start with there. This oneness, this source, this all. Now, I'm going to read from the Udo book here. It says that, I'm going to share this with you. It says that people have often personalized or humanized the concept of God. Whether consciously or subconsciously, many people think of God as having a human-like appearance. A great big man with long silver hair and a beard that lives somewhere out there beyond the sky and heaven. Why do people think of God that way? Well, there's several reasons people think of God in this way. Partly it's due to how hard it is to grasp such an infinite and abstract concept as God. Agreed. But unfortunately, okay, we're setting the stage, guys. Sometimes this human-like idea of God was deliberately fostered as, all right, and we're going to share some reasons here why people have this belief of what God is. Daphne, before we move on, any comments?
No, this is really just bringing to my mind the You Are Deathless book from Nicole, the 7-layer dip. What you think about God, how you feel about God. So, what is your concept of that? That higher source, the energy, the love, whatever, like earlier, whatever you call that, what is your concept of it?
Right. And I tell people that all the time to go with that thought. If you're going to talk about God, then first of all, tell me what your idea or your concept of that is, and let me tell you what mine is. That way you're not going into it
trying to butt heads,
because
yeah.
People say God, and they may think you're saying the same thing. You have
the
people
big man
out there,
up in the sky.
For example, atheists may not believe in God per se because they can't fathom that. Well, the guy on the clouds,
right? Yeah.
But they believe in energy. They can understand that concept. Well, yeah, that's fine. You see, now we've got something we can agree on. It just has to do what we're calling it and what we're identifying it as.
Right.
But there's a reason why people look at God as a human. It's been personified. Okay,
Yeah.
It has been a man taking something we cannot comprehend and putting it into, a person or something that we can understand. That's why you've got
to relate to
the
it.
gods. Correct. Even Satan is the same thing. It has to be put into something that you can comprehend, although it's an energy as well.
Yeah, and we think about that. Really think about this. We, in personalizing God, make that divine pure love energy
Like that.
wrathful, vengeful, spiteful. You
Human
do this
qualities.
or I'm going to do this.
Right.
That is not love. That is not pure unconditional love.
That's not you, though.
That's not.
That is not a divine oneness. That is a separation, guys. And that's what this is all about, is to open your eyes so you can really start looking and understanding. Once your eyes are open, you can see it's either separating or it's bringing you together with everything.
Yes, exactly. And then that's why we're here, to raise that consciousness, to help you to apply, as we are applying, your divinity, to realize your oneness with all creation, everything in the universe and beyond. You, me, everyone, everything, every plant, every tree, every insect, every star universe out there is all connected.
It's all one.
And that's that universal divine oneness that we're talking about here.
You know.
You know.
So why do people think of God as a human, as human-like characteristics? Daphne, would you go ahead and read those 4 different, the different reasons why people believe that, and then I'm going to go ahead and kind of pick up where we left off.
Sure. It's set up as a means to gain wealth and power over the masses. It's also a means to justify cruel or horrible things that some men wanted to do, like war, for example. A means of propagating sexism. Think about the masculine that runs through all the Bible. There's no feminine mentioned in it.
They've even taken the feminine out of God. And they say they only call God the masculine, God the Father. They never talk about, no, God is
everything
mother.
has to have its polarity.
That's right. God
Male
is
and female,
Father.
the masculine and feminine.
And it says it right there in their Bible. Even God, go into Genesis. God created this, God created that. God said, let us make man our image. That's the Elohim.
Plural.
That's plural. That's right.
That is the masculine and feminine. Yeah.
That's right. According to the ancient writings of actual Yeshua himself. He used to call the all Abba Amma, mother, father.
Yeah.
Father, mother. Okay, so the reason why we have this, like she had just touched on, is as a means to gain wealth and power over the masses. Now, if you create a God that is separate from everything and everybody out there, okay, even you, okay, then you start propagating and putting the hypnosis and the dark magic in that way. I mean, hypnosis is good when it's used right, but whatever the word you want to use, but it's mind control. It really is. And you put people under these mind controls, and first of all, you threaten them by degrading their humanity. You destroy their humanity. You say everybody's worthless. You're a sinner. You're this, you're that. You're no good. You need us. You need the church. You need God. Now, what they'll do, they created the separate image of God that's way out there that you can't get. But guess what? We've actually provided a way that you can get to the big guy in the clouds up there. Now you can go through our guy, but it's going to cost you. Right.
And that, with you saying that, and it's very well said, you made me think of, I think it's the Buddhist. They teach their children from a young age that they are one with the Creator in all things. Mm-hmm. So that you're not condemning your children from the very start.
That's right.
Tell them that they're worthless. Tell them that they're no good. Right. Tell them that they're born in sin. When you can, like the Buddhists do, teach this from childhood, the life that they live. And
Real
look
love.
at the area, the ones that are being taught this, their level of consciousness and
peace,
the love and peace, exactly, that they have in their area.
Yeah. So, like it says here, unfortunately, with that kind of human-like conceptualization of God, also comes assigning human-like personality traits to God, like Daphne mentioned earlier. And some of them are the very human-like, quote-unquote, negative personality traits, such as anger, jealousy, vengefulness, wrathfulness. The followers of many different religions have their own personalized versions of a humanized God. Some versions of God have similar personality traits, but there are various differences. Subsequently, the rules that people believe, quote-unquote, He has given for us to obey are sometimes similar and sometimes very different. Now, when it comes to Yudo, guys, hear me out here. We, like it's brought in here, it says we don't really care about what name of God or an idea that people believe in. Okay, if it helps them to become better, kinder people, and we say this, we have been saying this since day one on this podcast. Whatever you do, we support it. Okay, A lot of people out there want to bash you because of your beliefs. That's where you dropping the ball. Let people believe what they want to believe. You believe what you want to believe. And as long as everybody's working to that higher, greater goodness, then let them be. But anyway, like it's brought out here, it says, there's many things about various personalized gods just don't make sense, okay? This includes both the things that God does and God does not do. For instance, animals and innocent children are suffering on this planet. Why? Well, if you accept a human-like version of God, why doesn't he just put a stop to all this? Many people who have limited views of God can understand this when you explain it to them, as long as they have the slightest open mind, and the Spirit of God is present in you when you explain it to them, okay? So now, before we move on, this is where it gets really, really, really good, guys. Now we're going to go ahead and consider God in a whole different, unhumanized way that is perfectly in sync and harmony with near-death experiences. Now, when it comes to Yudo and the concept of God, okay, we teach, or you have to understand that by understanding Yudo or Universal Divine Oneness, the teaching is that God is all, okay, and includes all, okay, all is all.
Like we were talking about
There's
earlier.
nothing separate from God. God is all, okay, it's the Universal Divine Spirit, okay, and we are all part of that Divine Spirit. That's where you get Yudo, Universal Divine Oneness. We're all, you'll see it once it starts clicking and coming together. It's mind blowing and life changing. Okay, and we also believe that it is the one that includes the many. It is within us, without us, and we are individual parts of the whole of it.
Yes.
While many religions have similar to identical concepts of the one God in their scriptures, they may still use the idea that their God is different from the others as a reason for war or killing. One of the problems is that while many religions do teach that God is one, is all things, is everywhere, etc., they still propagate the concept of a human-like God in the sky, and thus the religion's followers still seem to think of God that way. They also sometimes teach that it is only their religion that has the one God, rather than that God is the one, the oneness of all. Even if the religion isn't propagating the humanized concept of God, people still usually think that way. I will explain why in a moment, but first, let's look at the consequences of thinking of God in a humanized fashion, regardless as to why they do. Unfortunately, the humanized God idea naturally leads to thinking of God as an individual of sorts. Okay, get this, guys. Then a person or a religion, they can give God any kind of quality, any kind of traits, personal traits that either the individual or the religion itself wants to give God in order to justify their human behavior.
And
Miss
that's
Daphne.
what we call putting God in a box.
Yes.
Get rid of the box, people.
Right.
Get rid of the box.
You've got to.
You can say, oh, I don't put God in a box. But with your belief systems, you really are, and you may not even realize that you are.
Yeah. So there are many of you out there who may believe in the humanized, man on a throne sitting in the clouds concept of God, okay?
Getting ready to come back and kill everybody.
Yeah. And, but you also are being introduced to another concept of God, which is the near-death experience concept of God as well. So when you start getting into this and realize the oneness, okay, that Yudo, Universal Divine Oneness, okay, that's what this is all about. You are living in harmony with the universe. And this is what the masters taught, okay? This has got nothing to do with religion or your beliefs, okay? In fact, the more you learn about Yudo, the more you start to see through religion, guys. Just saying.
Yes. And this next next paragraph on this page is beautiful for me, and I would like to share it if you don't mind.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so the whole idea goes against the God is everywhere and everything concept, because if God is thought of as an individual, it also leaves us with the impression that, quote unquote, He is separate from us and the universe. But if there is one God, which is all and is everything at all times, it can't be separate from us or the universe. It can't be an individual in any normal interpretation of the word, other than if you consider everything in the universe, the entirety of the universe itself, as one universe, and in some sense, an individual.
Nice. Comments?
We've got to quit thinking of it being external, because it is all that exists.
Right.
Everything in existence is an individuation of that divine source energy.
The one. That's right.
The one. Everything is a spark of the divine.
Right.
Everything.
Nothing cannot be God.
We're getting back to realizing that there is only one, the Universal Divine Oneness, and that's what we're helping to raise the consciousness about in doing this series that we're doing.
Yeah, like it says here, it says, now, we know that the universe is one huge, probably infinite something,
Right.
that is everywhere and everything. All existence as we know it, and science and quantum physics and all this stuff is supporting this now. Now we've got the science seeing the same thing. They're just calling
Everything's
it something
energy,
different. They're calling it something different. But it says even our bodies are comprised of stardust.
Oh, can I stop you right there for a second, please? The first time that I heard that we are stars and stardust, I was like, there's no way. That just isn't true. I was created, blah, blah, blah. Now when I hear that, I'm like, I can kind of relate to that. It's definitely something, because we're all one. We're all of the same.
Yeah. Well, what they're referring to stardust here says is the stuff of the universe.
Exactly.
If you are alive, and you are, you are part of nature, you're a human, we're all part of this. You are alive, you exist, you are, and from your perspective, you would say, I am,
Exactly. Hello.
But the point is like we're all made of the stuff of the universe, or aka stardust. That's what they're referring to. But it says, Now doesn't it stand to reason then that the one God must also be the very universe itself? And if that is so, and there is some sort of design, consciousness, and energy that pervades the entire universe, all of creation, wouldn't that be God's spirit and consciousness?
Mm-hmm.
Thus, the consciousness of God is the consciousness of the universe. Universal consciousness, then, is a consciousness that is one and the same as God's. And thus the Spirit of God, the life force that is in all of creation, is the Spirit of the universe. That universal divine spirit, that we are all part of, that makes us universal divine oneness. The universal spirit, once upon a time, all humans had the consciousness of their oneness with the universal spirit. And that is why you are here, to regain that universal consciousness and oneness with God. Then you will be the lamps to help others regain their lost way also. Daphne?
Yes. Oh my gosh. This just so resonates with me, because this is reminding me of, the ancient civilizations that were higher in advancement and knowledge and technology, all these things that have been lost along the way, and then we're just starting to regain it back. And you hear that throughout the conversations book, that we are a primitive young race, because we've, according to the book, have gained all this knowledge and misused it and then destroyed ourselves and had to start over, because life is eternal. Life continues on and on and on and on. I sometimes have to start over.
That's right.
Just like we're doing now. We're starting afresh, learning after awakening who and what we are.
That's right. And how can we be in harmony with that? How can we get back to that state of oneness?
And that's the purpose for these series that we're going to be doing here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Like it says here, God is referred to as, quote unquote, the universal spirit. Keep that in mind, okay? Sometimes as the one. It helps clarify that when we are speaking of God, we are not referring to the big guy in the sky concept of God,
nope.
Guys. Okay, please understand that when we say God, okay, in this program as an understanding of the concept of Udo, that God is all, we are all part of that oneness, okay? Then when we refer to God in this program, understand we're not referring to a man-made concept of God, that's been humanized and, separate and put out there away from everything and everybody that's got human qualities and things like that. Okay, just to kind of set the stage there.
Right, and that's what ties right in with the rest of this paragraph. It says, even though we are using the words universal spirit, that helps us prevent the confusion with the humanized concept of God. The term God will still be used throughout this podcast and these episodes, but
understand what we're talking about when we say
that. Yeah. We need to keep that in mind, what it means to us and each individual, in learning these concepts and divine truths, then it will help you to change your perspective on things and raise your consciousness to the divine universal spirit and the oneness that we are part of.
Yes. Nice. Now, to put a plug out there, guys, these teachings, like Daphne said a while ago, it resonated with her. She can tell these are old teachings, and they are ancient teachings that were taken actually from even pre-Egyptian, from what I understand, like from the children of the law of one. If you get a chance to look into that, but the children of the law of one are supposed to go back to the Atlantis pre-Kim, or what is modern-day Egypt.
Yeah.
And they had the secrets to life and how to live. They lived, 50,000 years. They lived 100,000 years. They lived because they were one with the divine, you see.
Right.
However, man has tampered with everything, and we have been so dumbed down, and people don't even believe that they're God. If you tell somebody in today's world that they are God,
most people gasp.
They will. They think you're the devil.
The first time I heard it.
Or you're possessed, or how dare you? How can you blaspheme? Well, this shows you, where they're at. But anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked, but keep that in mind. The children of the law of one will every now and then may bring that name up, because they are the definitely linked to a lot of this ancient knowledge. So, but understand that when we're talking about Udo, okay, that the universal spirit, rather than being an individual as we know it, okay, is actually a multiplicity that is one. All right, it comprises and is all things in the entire universe together as one. Udo, Universal Divine Oneness. It is the beingness, energy, essence, and life force that is everywhere and everything in the universe, including us, including nature, and including the universe itself. And it has a consciousness, okay? Now, also included as part of the one universal spirit, okay, and the oneness that is the universal spirit, is a hierarchy of spiritual beings who exist on many different levels. You might think of them as angels, guardian angels, ascended masters, adepts, or saints who have passed on, etc. Now, being free from the limitations of physical life, they exist in spiritual form, and they share the same consciousness as the universal spirit or the universal consciousness, okay? Even though they've transitioned, guys, they're still here and still a part of that universal consciousness. Now, It says that they are consciously part of it, one with, and an aspect of the universal spirit. Hierarchical beings thus act in harmony with the will of the universal spirit, as if they were arms or extensions of it. Yet they are somewhat related to us, and thus close to us also. So they are links to the entirety of the universal spirit, who can help guide us and have certain influences in our lives. Miss Daphne?
Yeah, this is really just reminding me of many of our experiencers that we, on our guest episodes, that talk about, the angels or their guides. This is exactly what we're talking about. This is possibly someone who has lived here and ascended to that next level, and acting as an angel or a guide for that person. And we all have them. But the thing is, if you do not ask for their help, they are not going to help you unless it is matter of life and death, as so many of our experiencers have said. You have to ask for that guidance and that help.
Yeah.
So many of us from our religious teachings have set aside that, angels are something that's up in heaven doing their thing, that they're not part of what we need to help us along in our life.
Yeah, or you're dabbling with the demons instead
of
talking to angels, or yeah. Well, I like it's brought out here, Daphne, and I know you're going to really understand this, and we'll tie into it. But guys, this next little phrase I'm going to share with you is such a nugget. The universal spirit is also comprised of this great link of oneness. Okay, now, as you study the ancient biblical texts in the library, you will find that an early name for God in some of them, or perhaps I should say God, was referred to in some of them as, quote unquote, Elohim.
Ooh.
There you go, guys.
We were talking about that earlier.
Yes, so the
plural.
The word Elohim is plural in both masculine and feminine. Guys, Jesus himself in the writings of the Gospel of the Nazarene. Daphne, can you see how the Spirit works and how this ties everything together? I mean, the truth is truth, guys. If you want to know the truth will set you free.
And when it resonates, it takes you even higher.
Your Bible, your own Bible, do this for me, okay? We talk about this on many episodes, all right? It's a quick fix. Everybody's got their apps today. Go get you an interlinear, okay? A Bible interlinear. That translates and it shows you a comparison of the Hebrew next to the English where it's been translated. Go look up God. There you go. Case closed. If you look up God, it will tell you Elohim. In the beginning, God created. Does it not make sense? And God said, let us. Okay, well, who's God talking to? Himself? No. The Elohim is the masculine, the feminine. But what we were saying earlier, when you read the Gospel of the Nazarene, which is the true writings of the oldest sayings of the Messiah, or of Yeshua, should I say, the oldest writings of Yeshua, he said the same thing. He said the Elohim is mother and father. The disciples approached him and said, how can the Lord be one when the Elohim is mother and father? He said, it just is. He's talking about oneness.
Right. And I like the way this brings it out. It says the word Elohim, as we just said, is plural and both masculine and feminine. And it includes the concept of the hierarchy of spiritual beings that also are comprised of God, and insinuates that God is neither an individual person nor a quote-unquote he.
There you go.
This also leaves room to include all creation, all beings, including humans, as being part of God, an individuation of that divine spark.
Absolutely. That is why you have male and female. Let us make man in our image. Every human, every man, every woman has both masculine and feminine in them. You have the Elohim in you. You are created in the image of. Let us make man in our image. Man is
making
them
and man and woman.
That's right.
Not a separation of two, but the two in one.
In one. Yeah, you have masculine and feminine in you. We are all masculine and feminine. Got nothing to do with gender.
Yeah, when it was after I started awakening to this, that when I read that scripture, it hit me, it was smack in the face. I was like, oh my gosh, that is not male man and female woman, but it is the two.
Both
I
and
made
all.
them male and female, the masculine and the feminine, and it just took my knowledge and learning to a whole other level, and it was enlightening. It's like, wow, it's right there in your face if you only have ears and eyes to hear and see.
Who has ears, listen. Who has
Yeah.
eyes, see. And,
Yes.
and Yeshua, whom we love and adore and agree with a lot of his teachings, even more pre-biblical, the real original writings before the Catholic Church got a hold of the writings and, created the Jesus of the Bible. Different topic for a different, podcast. But the point is, he taught universal divine oneness. He taught oneness. He understood that he was one with the all,
Right.
And he called the mother father. He said about he told us that the Elohim is the mother father. So when you understand that the church came in and took those writings and created the Bible, it was more of a control thing. It was a political thing as well, but there's guys just don't know the dark side of the equation,
Yeah,
the control part.
Yeah, and think about all the scrolls and books and everything that's locked up under the Vatican that we do not have access to. You have to have a military clearance hierarchy in your standing to even be able to view these
And
catacombs.
some of them, they won't even let you get around. Why?
Why? I mean,
Because
because
it will destroy religion as we know it. It will destroy Christianity.
53 miles of books. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We think that we know it and that our one is the one. But we have to realize there's more out there than what we are being shown.
Right.
And that's where we've done our research and sharing that with others. This is some of those lost teachings.
That's right. Even the Gospel of the Nazarene was one that was, snuck out of the Vatican, So let's move on along. Keep things within context here with the Udo. It says that as you begin to expand your consciousness beyond yourself. Okay,
And that's what we're doing
That's
here.
the key. Yes, absolutely. It says you start to realize, okay, not just believing or having faith. And that's what a lot of people do. They just, I believe. Okay, well, you're not enlightened, and you'll never be enlightened, okay? Or just having faith. I got faith, I'm covered by the blood, I'm saved. Whatever these little cliches and excuses that people are throwing up there, no, you're not. You're just indoctrinated. If you want to be a true enlightened soul, enlightened being like Yeshua, we call Jesus, or these great masters, then they lived in harmony with the universe. And when you live in harmony with the universe, okay, you are in harmony with the all. Okay, that's the concept and the overview of Udo. Now, like it says right here, there's more to life in the universe than meets the eye. Creation is not just haphazard. There is one great something behind it all. And it pervades every single thing in creation, in life, in the universe, including you, including all other people, all animals, all life, even the earth and the universe. As your universal spiritual consciousness continues to grow, you start understanding the underlying connection of everything more and more until you eventually have the realization that others are actually a part of you. And that you are a part of them, and that you are all one. Udo, Universal Divine Oneness.
Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. And when you can really accept this, when your consciousness raises and you get to that point where you can understand this and start living in harmony with all of creation, you can be sitting out in nature and just have a divine moment where you realize that you are one with everything. Your spirit will well up within you and just tears flow because of the realization of the one that everything is
You
connected.
don't have to be a little experience every now and then out in the woods. When you reach enlightenment,
Yeah.
that is the life you live every second. You're glowing. You are divine high at all times, because all you want to do is love and share that love.
Yeah, let me ask the listeners out there, and me, yourself included, how many of you out there feel connected when you get out in nature? You'd rather be outside than in a closed-in house somewhere. I mean, being one with all. That's why, because it's drawing you, because that is the real world. That is our oneness with everything.
That's right.
Drawing you
Not
to
the
it.
concrete jungle that's been created, guys. That's all part of the circus. We're not going to go there.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. Well, look, we've got a little bit here. We're going to go ahead and read this last couple little paragraphs here before we wrap up. But let me go ahead and close off with this real quick here. It says that brothers and sisters. Now, keep in mind, guys, I call anybody brother and sister, okay?
Everyone.
Not because, some people will only do it if you're part of the cult or part of their church or part of their group. Okay, hey, brother so-and-so, but they will not call that any other soul out there. Well, I call every man I meet brother, because guess what? They're my brother. Okay, I'll call them my brothers from another mother and my sisters from another mister. So we all are one. We're all are one. But like it says here, it says, brothers and sisters, all children of one universal God.
That's all of us.
As your spiritual consciousness grows, you also feel and manifest unselfish love. And the real world spiritual virtues that are reflections of unselfishly loving, which are caring, kindness, compassion, giving, and harmlessness, these are the things that are truly important and the earmarks of true spirituality. Even though developing spiritual consciousness brings forth unselfish love also brings forth spiritual consciousness. In fact, one of the main things that develops spiritual consciousness is developing your unselfish love for others, feeling unselfish love, and practicing kindness, caring, giving, and harmlessness. Miss Daphne.
This just so reminds me of so many of our episodes where we have stated, love all, harm none. It also ties in perfectly with the Conversations with God books that I recently read. I mean, I still go back and read these over and over because there's so much divine truth in it that resonates and raises the consciousness of humanity. This was a godsend for me. I mean, these books were divinely inspired.
Everything
it
comes to you when you're ready.
A message for everyone.
Yeah. When the student is ready, the teacher will arrive. In some form or fashion. It could be in the form of a book. It could be in the form of a video. It could be in the form of a friend, a person, whatever. But
yes, and I've got this to say too, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Thank you, Jay, for turning us on to it. Outwitting the Devil is another conversation style book, but it's with the devil. How he has instilled fear and lives off fear, and that's why we say throughout these episodes, release that fear, raise your consciousness, live on a higher vibration, because when you live in fear, you're given way to evil, to Satan, to be influenced in your life.
Right, and just a little plug, so I don't want to scare anybody or run anybody off. Spoiler alert, Satan is the dark in you. Okay, it's not the horned being with the pitchfork that lives in hell torturing in souls. It's not that. It is the negative side or the dark side of
the
things
polarity.
that's in all of it. It's
good,
the polarity. Without darkness, there is no light. So it's that contrast thing. But that is actually going to be incorporated into the Udo, but it's going to be further down once people start getting a good concept of understanding the ego in self is Satan. It's tied in with the selfishness, the dark side of you see. Right. So
that's why we say raise that
but
consciousness.
Religion itself has personified, like we talked about earlier, just like they took God and made him into a man with a beard on the cloud. They took the darkness or that energy, that spirit, that God is that spirit, the negative part of it, or the dark side of it, and personified it into a being, like with horns, the red, the pitchfork, the tails, that's tormenting everybody and all,
Right.
So that's it. But that's not what that book is about,
Right.
So just like when we talk about God, we're not talking about a being sitting on a cloud. We're talking about all that is.
Right. That
So.
great, pure love, divine energy source that created and is all.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, before we close, guys, I want to put a plug in, and we're going to get more into this as we go along, because we're going to teach you guys the way we've been taught and things we're learning, and we're going to share it all with you all, because we want all to grow together into this new world. Whether it's going to be our generation, our children's, or theirs, or whoever, however,
way
whatever,
down the road,
or even just being the best that you can be right now, it's going to be beneficial for you regardless of whatever comes.
Right.
So the point is, understanding the concept that you are one with the all, okay, and that is the concept of Udo. Now, Universal Divine Oneness is your understanding that you are enlightened and you understand that you are one with the all. You're living in harmony with loving and unselfish love and helping others and caring and kindness and giving. You see where that's going. You see harmlessness. Okay, I will tell you, over the last maybe few months since we started really learning this myself, even insects, you become even very conscious of little insects, little creatures. I've got a little jar that I keep on the bar of the house every now and then, of like a little fly somehow. Yeah, flies have come in, and like a fly land on the window or whatever, or if you see anything, it could be worse in other places, but whatever kind of insect, it's still a little life, So what I would do is, just kind of if you get close enough, you can just kind of get the jar right by it, and it'll flap in, and I'll throw the cap on it, and I just go outside. Guess what? Open it, and it flies out. So
you preserve life instead of taking it.
Correct. When you become, the more enlightened you become, you have a different view of life itself. You look at all life, all creatures, all animals as God, as your brothers and sisters, and then when you become that level of enlightenment, you also can have the, whatever it takes, I don't want to say strength, because it doesn't take strength, but you have the ability to be able to totally cut animal out of your diet, because you don't want to, slaughter and eat your brothers and sisters, you see, but that is for highly evolved beings, so.
I would like to say this with
Sure.
you saying that, one way to think about it, if what you're eating can give back without ending its life, think of fruits, vegetables. They have seeds within them that will sustain a multiplicity of more life to give more life. When you kill an animal, that's it. It can't give nothing more.
You don't get nothing from it, guys. You don't even get nutrition. Don't believe all the garbage that you've said, that you've been sold out there. When you get, to the level of spirituality, you'll understand where we're coming from.
But until you get to there, live your life.
Do what you got to do, but to be conscious of things. And the more universally enlightened you become, okay, the more you see that, when you, I'm not sure if it's in the Udo system, as we go along, we'll look at it, but I do remember studying it, that it's when man became carnivores and started eating animals, is when man became animalistic in their behaviors.
Yeah.
So look around, guys. We have a world of animals. We've got humans that act like animals.
Animals are more loving.
That's thank you. I was going to say, in fact, animals are way more loving than humans. Okay, so it questions, begs the question: hey, who's really on track and who's really off track? Who's really off balance? Well, guess what?
Exactly. I can look around and see it, and I'm sure other people can too. I know other people can too, because there's those out there that are awakened and enlightened and living in harmony with this divine universal oneness.
Yeah.
They realize their unity with that.
And something that's kind of weird. I was reading the actual conversations with the devil.
Outwitting the devil?
That spirit, outwitting the devil that Napoleon had. And like he said, it said the same thing with this. The devil himself said that. It said, and when you think the devil, you're thinking this
You don't
this
think
being
of the personified thing.
Yeah, that's not what we're saying. Like when we say God, we're not talking about the guy in the cloud. When we say devil, we're just talking about that dark side, that energy. That every being or every creature in the universe is in harmony with the universal laws. This is coming from the dark side itself. He said, except for man. He said, that's why I can manipulate man the way I do. That's
Yeah.
why I can control man the way I do. I feed off of their fear. You know, I control it, I create it, and I feed off of it.
And that's why
And
we
it's
say,
an energy, guys.
yeah, that's why we say, and I'm putting into practice in my own life, release those fears, raise your vibration, live in love, don't live in fear. There's one of the two, love or fear.
That's it.
And
Well
what do you
said.
have in love and fear? In love, you have the universal one, and in fear, you have what? Evil, creation, quote unquote, Satan. I mean, the good, the bad.
Right.
I mean,
This is esoteric stuff, guys. It's
yes.
deep. It's not for
That's why we say put your boots
It's
on.
not for the little baby believers, but it's for everybody. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and wrap things up. I want to put a plug in for what we're going to be leading up to with the UDO system. That the universal laws. Okay, we're going to be sharing like over 200 laws with you guys and how to actually incorporate them into your life to be able to live in harmony with universal divine spirit. It says here that the universal laws are for one's realization of universal oneness and the one's relationship to the universal one, life, others, one's quote-unquote self, and much more. So we're going to really be getting into those as well. So we just kind of want to kind of give you guys a build-up and where we're going with this and how to start applying these in. But we're just really wanting to set the
Yes.
stage so you guys can understand what it's all about.
Yeah, so stick with us through this, and we'll grow and raise the consciousness together, because this is profound truths that are out there for our taking. You know, we just have to apply it.
Right.
Take it in and apply it. You know, and like I said, stick with us, and we'll raise this consciousness together and love all and harm none.
Well said, well said. Don't forget to go to the website, guys, NDE.world, for more information on who we are and what we do, and some really cool podcasts. Thank you so much for your time and for hanging out with us here on the episode, and we look forward to so many more to raise this consciousness that we all want to be a part of into that new belief system, and really just that awareness of what UDO is, Universal Divine Oneness, and the concept of that, hey, you are God. Whether you like it or
Yes.
not, and whether you understand the concept, and depending on where you're at in your level of consciousness, that's going to resonate like, oh yeah, of course I am. Yeah, I know. Or it's going to be like, oh, how dare you?
Like I was when in the beginning.
It depends on where you're at. So it's all good, guys. It's all good. So we love you so much. Thank you all for tuning in, and may peace be with you all. Until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
Hello, you beautiful souls. Don't forget to visit the website, NDE.world. That is
NDE.world.